that is going on against a mindset, we have taken all of these into and converted them into opportunities. We have managed to make a population count. We have brought in the women of all the IDPs. By IDPs I mean internally displaced people, because when we were starting the war started the war in Swat, we ourselves did not realize what the effects would be. From it came the population migration of people and citizens. When we got these women and boys and kids and children in the camps, we immunized them, we documented them, and those women are now recipients of a program which is named after my late wife, Shahid Mohtarama Benazir Bhutto, called the Benazir Card, in which we empowered women only. The women of the household, of the poorest of the poor, get a certain stipend, and further on we've put other products on that highway by making that card tool of interaction. We've given telephones so they can get that money on their phones. So not only are we giving the women the little subsidy to their household, we are also giving them a voice and communication. So all of them, and it just so happens that when this program was introduced, the first recipient of this program was a lady, and we documented it because now modern technology is what is supposed to guide the future. And in that, the first recipient was a lady, and she did not disperse all her money. We were giving them X amount of money on a card which we had for specially affected people of IDPs, and she withdrew only the amount she needed. So that gave us the signal that this is what the world is all about. Whether you're educated or whether you're not, you do understand the necessity of tools to be used. So all this is indeed the strength of Pakistan, and we intend to use it for the future, for the world to be a better place, for Pakistan to be a responsible country and be able to export and be in place when the world needs, because half the population of the world is in the minus. Half the population of the world is working on different fields. It is easier for us to produce and cheaper for us to produce doctors, for example, than it is anywhere else in the world. And we have the homegrown universities which are now old enough to be mature enough to produce doctors and nurses and future scientists, if you may have. So that is one aspect of Pakistan.
Mr. President, thank you for describing the economic potential. I think you have a country with great people, great minds. You described it, and we all know it. I mean, we meet in our travels around the world always Pakistanis characterized by extraordinary potential. Now, let me just ask you one question. If I switch from the economics more to the political situation. Pakistan is a very important country in terms of global stability. And of course, very often Pakistan, rightly or wrongly, is criticized for its role inside the global context.
Of soldiers to the UN peace force. And therefore our population and our position on that is a signal to the world that we can help wherever there is trouble. Second of all, yes, we like I said, our geostrategic position where economically is very vibrant and has a future, it has a past also. And the past happens to be the fault line of the empires. Afghanistan is rightly known as the graveyard of empires, and it has always been the fault line. That is where the Soviets lost, from Alexander to the Soviets, everybody lost their fiefdoms. Today we are wrongly categorized. We are in fact the victims of terror. I myself am personally the victim of that terror, and I don't even qualify it as terror, I call it a war of mindset. My wife, as you know, all remember, late Shahid Mohtarama Benazir Bhutto, she was the leader and she was going to be the Prime Minister. in her name now we have a Prime Minister and we have taken the presidency, and democracy is finding its place and taking root. So before the Arab Spring, before anything else could happen, I have also given away the powers that were taken away by the parliament to the presidency by a dictator. Those have been transferred back to the parliament. So where democracy is taking its place and finding its place, incidents, and I was just talking to you, Professor, when I came before, that individuals or individual groups should not, nations should not be hostage to their agenda. For example, even 9/11 per se, the world fell victim to a hostage to a mindset which was looking for the reaction, not the action. The action is one thing, the reaction is what one has to worry about. And I feel that the world till to date is still caught up in the recession world. There is still economical unease in the world because of the reaction to that action of 9/11. In the same instance in Pakistan, we are hoping and fighting against forces which are supported by a war weapon which was created in the world before our time, called, knew about drugs in the region, but heroin was introduced as a war weapon. Unfortunately, it still to date is not part of the NATO Charter, but it does start from my backyard and from our neighboring country, and the NATO does not take responsibility for it. And by some experts, it's more than 10 billion to 12 billion, and you can increase the figure as you go around the world. So it is a huge interest group again of the people who trade in this war weapon, and that is, their budget is even larger than my armed forces budget. So this is one factor among other political factors of the neighborhood and the remnants of the Second World War and the Cold War and the Soviet nations, and today Russia, and then the other countries. So it's all the remnants of a last world order which has not been able to transform itself into the new world order, or today's world order, which, like somebody described today, was totally different. It is not the capitalism, but it is talking about ideas and talking about innovative ideas.
Talentism.
Talentism.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mr. President, we are all together in the same boat in fighting terrorism, and you reminded us that you personally suffered from terrorism in probably in the severest way. So we were very fortunate to have you here to hear your reassuring words. Pakistan has a potential, and on behalf of the participants, I want to thank you again for joining us, because Pakistan is an important neighbor. It's part of this in the wider area. And you can be assured, at least I'm speaking here on behalf of the World Economic Forum, that you will have all our support in creating a future for such a large population of nearly 200 million people. So all our best wishes, and thank you again, Mr. President.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
सदर आसिफ अली जरदारी ओमान में आलमी इक़्तिसादी फोरम के मरकजी इजलास से खिताब कर रहे थे। उन्होंने कहा कि पाकिस्तान एक जिम्मेदार और खुद मुख्तार मुल्क है और एक मखसूस जहनीत के खिलाफ लड़ रहा है। 65% आबादी नौजवानों पर मुश्तमिल है। पोटेंशियल बहुत ज्यादा है। खित्ते में तजारत के फरोग के लिए बंदरगाहें बेहतर बना रहे हैं और बंदरगाहें इस्तेमाल करने की इजाजत देता हूं, इस बात का भी ऐलान किया उन्होंने। और बेनजीर इनकम सपोर्ट प्रोग्राम का भी किया तस्करा और यह भी कहा कि पाकिस्तान खुद दहशतगर्दी का शिकार है और एक पुरअमन दुनिया के लिए सबसे ज्यादा कुर्बानियां पाकिस्तान ने दी हैं।